Hola, mi clase. All right, we are moving on. 13.3, volume of spheres. So I can know and use the formula for the volume of spheres. So a sphere only has a radius. It's a circle. It's a ball. It's the moon, whatever. It's a three-dimensional circle. So the only measurement we have is the radius. So the formula is 4/3 pi r cubed. And the reason this is cubed is we can almost think of the third one as like that height that we were dealing with, okay? So we're still finding the area of this circle right here. See, pi r, and there's a squared in there. And then in a sense what we're doing is the third radius is kind of like the height. So it's very similar. And then it's 4/3. Instead of 1/3, it's now 4/3. All right, so we're going to find the volume of this sphere. We're going to round our answers to the nearest tenth. We're going to use 3.14 for pi. All right, so this first one has a decimal. That's not very fun, but that's okay. So volume is 4/3 times pi times 2 1/10 cubed. So 4/3 times pi times, getting my calculator out, hold on, 2.1 cubed, 9 and 2, oh, that's a horrible spacing. Hold on, I was looking down. 9.261. All right, I'm going to go about 4/3 times, I'm going to take that number, 9.261. I'm going to times it by 3.14. And I'm going to get 29 point, now we're going to get a really hideous decimal, 0.7954. Okay, now I know that's not fun to have to write down, but don't clear it off your calculator. What we're going to do is we're actually going to first, and then I'm going to break it up for you. I'm going to go like this. I'm going to go 1/3 times, I'm splitting this fraction up, times 4/1 times this really gross decimal. So what I did is I split this up to show you mathematically what you can do. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take this decimal, I'm going to times it by 4. I'm going to get about 1/3 times, and now it's 116.31816. And then I'm going to divide by 3. And we're going to get, I'm going to come over here, follow my arrow, we're going to come over here, I'm out of room, about 38.77272. And then once I'm done, I'm going to round to the nearest tenth, so 38 8/10 centimeters cubed. So it's not a lot much more work as cones. There's just one extra step here. We also don't have the times by a height that's already embedded here. So it's pretty much the same steps. It's just this decimal came out really long because we're cubing instead of just squaring. And then I'm taking something that has a lot of decimals and timesing it by something with a lot of decimals. And so, of course, my decimals just get bigger. Okay, so this step right here is where I just times by 4. And then I divided by 3. So we were dividing by 3 on cones. So the only extra step is to times by 4. All right, so let's do B. I need to take 7 and divide it by 2 first because that's the diameter and I need the radius. So that gets me 3.5. Now that I have the radius, I can go through this process. I'm actually going to change this to about right now. I'm going to times by 3.14. I'm going to change it right now so I don't have to change it later. I'm going to times by 3.5 cubed. So about 4/3. So I'm going to cube my radius, 3.14 times 42 and 875 thousandths. We have to keep all of our decimals. I'm going to times that by 3.14. So I'm going to have about 4/3 times 134.5 0.6275. That's my decimal right there. So I'm going to then times that by 4. I'm going to come over here about, right, I'll draw my little arrow for you guys. 1/3 times 538.51. That was kind of nice. So that means some stuff evened out and got me zeros. And then I'm going to push divide by 3. So we're going to get about 179.503, and this 3 repeats. And I'm going to round to the nearest tenth, so I'm going to get 179.5 centimeters cubed. Okay, I know it's a lot of decimals, like I said from up above, but because you're using a calculator, just don't clear anything as you go through the steps, okay? And don't forget this step from here to here, I just times by 4, okay? All right, a soccer ball comes in several different sizes. One soccer ball has a diameter of 22 centimeters. What is the volume of the soccer ball? Round your answer to the nearest tenth. Okay, this is a really good time for you to pause and try this on your own. It's probably best for you to pause and try this on your own so that you can see if you can do this. All right, hopefully the first thing you did was take 22 and divide it by 2 to get 11. So you should have about 4/3 times 3.14 times 11 cubed. So 11 cubed, we get about 4/3 times 3.14 times 1,331. I'm going to times that by 3.14. So about 4/3 times 4,179 and 34 hundredths. About 1/3 times, I'm going to times it by 4, 16,717 and 36 hundredths. And then I divide by 3, and we get approximately 5,572 and 45 hundredths and 3/10 repeat, or 3 thousandths repeating, but it does let me round to the nearest tenth. So I'm going to say it is about 5,572 and 45, because the 5 bumps the 4 up, and it was centimeters cubed. All right, so we've been doing these types of problems. Val has a ball. It tells us the volume. We want to know the diameter of the ball. So volume is 288 pi. It's going to be equal to 4/3. I'm going to leave it as pi because remember it gave me pi here, which means I didn't times by pi, times radius cubed. Okay. So I'm going to divide by pi, get rid of that. I'm going to get 288 equals 4/3 times radius cubed. Now, just like up here, I times by 4 to get rid of this. So I'm actually going to divide by 4 to get rid of it. I'm going to go 288 divided by 4, right? We times by 4 up here to find the volume, so the inverse would be divide. So I'm going to get 72 equals 1/3 times radius cubed. Just like before, we're going to times by 3 because up here we divided by 3 and the inverse is to times by 3. And so 72 times 3 gets me 216, and that's the radius cubed. Now there is a way to find the cube root of a number. You can guess and check. But there is a button on our calculators in class that I can show you that we can take the cube root. And so if I, just like square rooting, if I cube root this, remember we did this a long time ago, I would actually get 6. That'd be my radius. Now it does ask me for the diameter, so we're going to take 6 and times it by 2 and get 12, and so that will be our diameter, inches. There's my diameter. Okay, and I'll show you guys where this button is on the calculator in the classroom. You can't use the same as the square root button because it's different. All right, so that's it. So again, the main thing to remember is to memorize the formula. Practice, practice, practice. All right, here's your 2 independent practice problems. There's the radius, there's the diameter. Hopefully you have a little bit of room to show your work. If you need to, lift the flap up. But I want to see the modeling show your work just like this. And just like this, and just like this, and just like you've been expected to do on your homework. All right, until next time, adios.